So welcome back to the tool shed. Now this is I would say my favorite, but it's top 10 of my favorite tools. I mean, I love this one. For me, it's relatively new. It's, not brand new, but it's relatively new. But I've had sort of ideas about it. I just never had the exact language for it. And I love the Kevorka. So watch below. I'm going to put in a clip from Seinfeld. I'll give you sort of the 30,000 foot overview, but I can't do justice to Kramer. That's who this revolves around. Cosmo Kramer, like just an amazing character. So Kramer has the Kevorka. And what is the Kevorka? Well, as he finds out, that's what the priest that he goes to calls it. But he has this magnetism, this animal magnetism, right? It's kind of funny because Kramer doesn't really, but he seems to have it at least with one particular woman. And this woman happens to be a nun. And this nun seems to be attracted to Kramer. And only Seinfeld and Larry David can make this up. But he actually gets a nun to question her faith. And she's about to leave the church when he goes in to speak with the priest, and the priest says, "You have the Kevorka." And what's the Kevorka? The Kevorka is the animal desire, right? That's contagious, that's primal. I think that, priest was trying to say it comes from the devil. You got to get rid of it. But the truth is, we all have the Kevorka. And then he goes through a ritual of wearing garlic cloves and vinegar and ... Doesn't tell us the rest of the Kevorka recipe to get rid of the Kevorka. I'd love for you to put in the video notes below what you think the ... is. What else is in there to, watch the video. Kramer's wearing it around his neck and he's turning people off and he says, thank you, I got rid of the Kevorka. So what else is the missing ingredient in there? But anyways, the Kevorka is real. It's true. But I would argue with the Seinfeld episode and sort of fundamentalist religion, puritanical views of the world, that we're supposed to get rid of it. I don't believe so. I believe we're supposed to harness the Kevorka. In Kabbalah, it's called the Yetzirah. In traditional religious literature, it might be called the Satan. It's primal desire. And there are two choices that you can do with this primal desire. You can give yourself over to it. Call that hedonism. I call that in my work the morning of life, the first half of life, when we're just run by the Kevorka, right? How many, especially boys, young men, are just defined by the Kevorka, thinking with not this head, but this head, and it leads them down dangerous, destructive paths. I mean, one of the top things that gets a young man in trouble is his Kevorka. And so we're taught to domesticate it. We're taught to get rid of it. I was just watching Fight Club as doing a lot of this men's work, and that is Kevorka unharnessed. That is Kevorka that's destructive. There's lots of movies, Morning of Life, young men, 20-something is really the time of the Kevorka. I'm not saying it doesn't have its place. I think it does. I think we need to go through that period, the wild man. So then we try and overcompensate. We move into midlife and we start to domesticate the Kevorka. We get married, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think it's an important pathway to learn how to harness it. We raise kids, we have our activities, we have our routines. The problem becomes when we start muting the Kevorka, when we start sedating the Kevorka. A great movie on this, which is getting fresh on my mind because I'm writing about it, is American Beauty with Kevin Spacey. If you haven't seen it, it's a must-see, but you probably have seen it. It was an Academy Award winner. And in it, Kevin Spacey, 42, I believe, midlife, called High Noon of his life. And it begins with him, opening scene is him masturbating in the shower. And he says, it's all downhill from here. I don't know how I became this sedated in my life, right? And that's the beginning part of this movie. And he's lost his Kevorka. And as a consequence, he's a shell of a man. His wife is married to a version of him, but it's not the true him. He goes to work and forces himself into a job that's not him, but he tells himself that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the second half of life. This is what a responsible man does. I'm arguing that's not responsibility. That's irresponsible to sedate, to domesticate, and to get rid of the Kevorka. It's also irresponsible to let it run the show. Our work is to learn how to harness the Kevorka. So as an example, running rampant with sex, I don't come from a moral perspective, I come from a meaning perspective. You will never get to where sex can take you if you go wide and not deep, if you change your partners and not change your approach. You want to go deep? I've been married with to Ariella for 25 years, and we go deeper now in 25 years later than we did the first year. We have more intimacy, we have better sex, we have more connection. I can't imagine anyone or anything else. And so I haven't gotten rid of my Kevorka. I've just harnessed it. One of my favorite quotes is by Nietzsche, and he says, "Verily, I have laughed at men who thought themselves to be good because they have no claws." Right? What is he saying? You are not good if you have no claws and you don't use them. You are only good. That just means you're impotent. That just means you're ineffective, that you don't have the capacity to do bad. You're only good if you have the claws and you choose not to use them. Just like you're not recovered alcoholic if you end up on a desert island and you don't have a drink. You're recovered or recovering, but I think there is a degree of resolve to a person who's got that next level. And they go into a bar and they can sit there and have club soda and talk to somebody who's drinking a scotch. To me, that's to have claws and to not use them. So often in life, our partners think their job, our spouse thinks their job is to pull out our claws and get rid of them. She doesn't want that. You don't want that. What she wants and you want, whether she or you realize it or not, is to hold on to the Kevorka, to have those claws, and to only use them at the right time, in the right place, with the right person. And in the case of sex, the right time and place and person is her, because no woman wants to be in bed with her husband who has no Kevorka, who has no drive, who has no desire, who has no lust. It's not about getting rid of the Kevorka. It's about harnessing it. And in the second half of life, harnessing it for more than just sex, right? That's the beauty of the second half of life. That's the beauty of testosterone dropping. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take, testosterone supplements. You do what you got to do. But there is a gift in letting it drop so that I can start to see more clearly with this head and not the other one. So I can start to realize there are different ways that I'm being called to harness and deliver my Kevorka out to the world. And maybe you take up painting and your Kevorka can be seen in that. Or maybe you take up wood carving. Or maybe you change jobs and, call it quits on your corporate job and start the foundation that you've always wanted to, or go back to get a degree in social work so you can help. Whatever it is, the Kevorka, the claws, that primal animal desire, it's not bad. It's not good. It depends on what you do with it. Don't lose your Kevorka. Don't start out like Kevin Spacey, Lester Burnham in the movie American Beauty. But if you do, it's time to wake up the Kevorka. It's time to awaken the beast, not to be used by it, but to use it. Watch the movie as he does, to harness it, to reclaim his vitality, his Kevorka, and everybody around him benefits. I mean, yeah, in the end, he gets killed because of it, but that's another conversation for another day. You use the Kevorka in the right way, the right time, the right place, and it will not kill you. It will give you life. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Until the next one, rise up in the second half of life.